Hey, Lamar, how are you? Fine. So just so you know, I brought proof that I just left a meeting at the historic courthouse where the Daughters of the American Revolution, where they give an award to Miss Shirley Miller and Miss Eveline Dyer Jones, and also recognize my aunt who passed away several years ago. So it only started at 5:30, so I'm sorry I'm a little bit late to this, but did the best I could. So I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask invocation. Where is one of my bills, or either one of the bills here? A little bit embarrassed because I hadn't been here, but who would like to volunteer to give a short invocation? Joe? That's you.
Dear Heavenly Father, in the name of your Son, and the power of the Holy Spirit, we just thank you for the opportunity to be here, Father. We just ask that you be with us and guide us in the meeting. Watch over us and keep us safe when we leave. Just be with Lamar and the different folks here this evening. And just thank you for this day, Father. Thank you for our country. And thank you for your Son. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Would you stand and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated. Amen. I know everybody doesn't have copies of everything tonight, so just bear with us. If you don't have copies and need it, you can see us after the meeting. But those that do should have a copy of the minutes from July the 18th, 2017 meeting and August 10th, 2017 meeting. And the minutes of both of those are hereby approved as presented. And we're going to go right into new business. So I had to make some decisions tonight, or actually before I got here. It's going to be a long meeting, so with lots of folks here. So I had to decide who to let go first in case they wanted to get home early. However, since our auditor is here from out of town, then so long as he has a good audit report, we'll let him do it first, and then we'll continue with the meeting. However, if he starts giving us a bad report, I may stop him halfway through and make him wait till the meeting's over and finish. No pressure or anything. So, this time I'm going to ask Clay Pilgrim, who will give the audit report presented by Rustin and Company's certified public accountants. This is the third year this firm has handled our financial audit, and it is a lot of hard work for them and their staff as far as my staff. They started in our office in mid-April, and they have between 2 and 3 employees here for 2 weeks every day, and that after hours too, and then came back for a few days later visiting with us again as well as other elected offices. State law requires an audit from each county every year to be completed by the 30th of June, and once presented to the public, the audit is available via our county website, the state website, and we'll have copies available in our office. So after the meeting, we'll say tomorrow, anybody wants a copy, we'll have them available at that time. So at this time, we'll ask Clay Pilgrim if he'll come forward and present the audit. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if Lamar knew y'all were all here to see me, so this place is probably going to clear out when I'm finished up. I'm assuming. Because this is exciting stuff. At least to me. Probably not to many of you, but to me it's very exciting stuff. So I'm going to be presenting from, as many of you probably know, the audit report's somewhat substantial as far as number of pages. So I've pulled some different numbers from the report that I'm going to be presenting tonight. I've got a presentation put together. As far as our audit is concerned, on pages 1 through 3 of the auditor's report, independent auditor's report, disclose some of the county's responsibilities, our responsibility as the auditor, and we are pleased to present that for 2016 we have an unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements. Nothing came to our attention during the audit that would prohibit us from issuing an unmodified or clean opinion on 2016's financial statements. In the bound audit report, there are two statements in the entire report that bring all activities of the entire government together into one. Those two statements are the statement of net position, it's on pages 15 and 16, and the statement of activities on page 17. Statement of net position, similar to a balance sheet for a business enterprise. As I mentioned, these two statements are going to bring all activities, whether it be the general fund, all the different special revenue funds, capital projects funds, and even your enterprise funds like your the golf course and the recreation. The statement of activities on page 17 is similar to an income statement for a business enterprise. So we'll talk about a few numbers from those statements. All right, net position, which is the equity of the county. I've got a 3-year comparison. For 2016 fiscal year, the net investment capital assets was $38,149,388. Restricted net position $5,195,938. And unrestricted net position $6,374,100 for a total net position 2016 of $49,719,426. For 2016, there was a $534,225 increase in net position. That was a slightly smaller increase than in the prior year due to there was a small decrease in property taxes, an increase in sales taxes, and then some increases on judicial and public works expenses. And that's the county as a whole as far as net position is concerned. Like I mentioned, that brings all activities together in one. What is typically presented on a monthly basis, you all probably talking about throughout the year, is the general fund, and that's what many people focus on for many municipal and county governments. For the general fund, a few numbers there. For 2016, revenues of the general fund increased $52,701. It's about a 0.3% increase. From that, local option sales tax increased $140,270. Insurance premium taxes increased $69,438. Building permit revenues were up about $56,000. Down in the other revenue classification, things that don't fall in as a charge for service or taxes, those decreased $273,000, mostly because of a one-time other revenue in 2015. All right, on the expenditure side, expenditures increased $1,323,575, or 10.4% for 2016. Some of the things that led to that increase: general administration expenses were up $366,000. That was largely due to about a $160,000 increase in contract services and a $218,000 increase in capital assets or capital outlay, which is due to the purchase of property in a building. Risk management expenditures were up $128,386. That's the self-insured health plan. That's really going to have some movement anyway, just due to claims, as that would be something that could fluctuate from year to year. Sheriff expenditures were up $240,000. Of that, $120,000 of that was personal services. Supplies were up about $57,000, and capital outlay was up $62,000. Jail operations department was up $88,000, largely led by personal services being up about $56,000. Highways and streets were up $105,000 for 16. That again was about a $56,000 increase in personal services, a $87,000 increase in contract services, and a decrease in capital outlay of about $48,000. For the year, or at year end, fiscal year 2016, the unassigned fund balance, which would be the fund balance available for spending at the commissioner's discretion or the county's discretion, was $5,331,469, which is about 37.9% of expenditures. We look at that number often as kind of, I don't want to call it a reserve, but we look at that in terms of a reserve. So if you were to take that 37.9% of expenditures for 2016's expenditures, that'd be about 4.5 months. So if for some reason, which we'd all be in much worse shape if revenues were to stop flowing in, but if there were no revenues, we could operate about 4.5 months, the county in about 4.5 months with no further revenues, is what we're saying there. Just to keep in mind, that's real similar to fiscal year 15. Fiscal year 15's unassigned fund balance was $5,036,128. So the fund balance of the general fund did increase about almost $300,000. Our unassigned fund balance did for 16. Because expenditures also increased, the actual percent of expenditures went down from 39.5 to 37.9. So still from 4.7 months to 4.5 months. So still a healthy reserve there at 4.5 months. My next slide, which you all are not looking at, is a graphical depiction of the revenues and expenditures of the general fund, so I can explain that to you rather than showing it to you. But the the last 3 years, revenues and expenditures have both increased. I will say that along with that increase in revenues and expenditures, you have had an increase in fund balance. So even though our expenditures and the services provided to citizens have increased each year, the fund balance has also increased each year. So that's my next two slides actually. Revenue expenditure on a graphical, you'll see it's not a sharp increase, but you do have an increase there on both. And then the same with fund balance and the same with unassigned fund balance I mentioned earlier. So in fund balance, the makeup of fund balance would have things, you've got unassigned fund balance, then you may have assigned fund balance. Those are amounts that are set aside internally. You may have restricted fund balance, which external sources would restrict those. And then you have non-spendable fund balance, which would be if you had any prepaid expenses or something that's not in a non-spendable form, that would be down in non-spendable. But excuse me, as a whole, fund balance increased from 2015 from 5.8 million to right over 6 million. As far as unassigned fund balance, it increased from 5,036,000 to 5,331,000 for the fiscal year 2016. Okay, as far as numbers, that's all the numbers out of the report I've pulled out to discuss here. I do have some required communications that I am required to communicate to the government. Most of this information is information that would be the same year after year. I won't call it boilerplate information, but this is also where I would present any issues I had in performing the audit or disagreements we had with management or those sorts of things. I also mentioned earlier about auditors' responsibility, that those auditors' responsibilities are displayed in the opinion letters. Also, I'm required to explain those as well. Obviously, we perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance on the financial statements that they are not materially misstated. We would assess the accounting principles used and significant estimates in the financial statements, and we believe our audit did accomplish these objectives. All right, accounting policies. The accounting policies, the significant accounting policies for Union County are described in Note 2 to the financial statements. So if you do obtain a copy of this report, or for those of the government here, when you're looking through this lengthy report, Note 2 is where the significant accounting policies are disclosed. If you are struggling to sleep one night, that would be where I would turn to. It would be Note 2 to the financial statements, as those are, it's great reading. No new policies affecting Union County were adopted during 2016. Accounting estimates. I mentioned earlier, as you all probably know, accounting estimates, any financial statements or most financial statements are going to have estimates in them. For Union County, the most sensitive estimates we feel like are life expectancy of capital assets and how those are depreciated, the allowance for uncollectible property taxes, and the cost for landfill post-closure care. Those are all estimates that are found in the financial statements that would be significant. All right, during our audit, we will from time to time come across adjustments, audit adjustments. Those audit adjustments have been sent over to management, they have been posted to the county's trial balance, and they have been approved by management. We also, during times during the audit, would come across items that we consider to be immaterial or trivial. Those adjustments, we do accumulate those. We also provide those to management. Those have not adjusted the financial statements. Those are just ones that we pass on adjustment. We've provided those as well as we aggregate those to make sure the entire adjustment would not be material in the financial statements. As I mentioned earlier, disagreements with management. We do not have any, pleased to report we have no disagreements with management to report that arose during the course of this year's audit. We had no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. I would actually say it was far from that. We actually had great cooperation from all offices. including the Lamar's office, the county, the finance office, and including all other elected officials in the county, whether it be in the different constitutional offices like the sheriff and the magistrate court and all the different, all your different courts, tax commissioner's office. Everyone was very cooperative in helping us perform the audit, provided the information we needed, and was pleasant in doing so. Management representations. One part of an audit that we are required to do is we are required to obtain what we call a management representation letter. That is required by our standards to have that in our audit file. And what that basically says is that management has not withheld information from us. They have provided us with all information, and they have not withheld something that may change our opinion on the financial statements. Important letter, as we can only ask for what we need. We can't necessarily, if they were to tell us, staff or anyone were to tell us they don't have that, we can't go looking and looking for it. So that is an important letter. We're not aware of any consultations management had with other independent accountants to obtain what we would consider to be a second opinion on any matters. Nothing came up that would require that during this year's audit. It's important to note that we generally discuss a variety of matters with management during the audit process before and throughout the year as well, and those are normal conversations we have. They were not a retention or not a cause for our retention or anything that affected our professional relationship. We do have from time to time suggestions we make for improvement, as that is what we feel like as a firm is important process of the audit. Any firm can put numbers on paper, but to be able to assist and help with processes is a big part of our firm. We are big on doing so. And that is my presentation. Answer questions? You all.
Anybody have any questions? I didn't rush up during the meeting to send you back to your seat for a while. Thank you very much for leading. It's really a tough job. See how exciting the numbers are.
Yeah.
But the exciting part to us is, regardless of whether, two things that are exciting to me. Number one is we still maintain the second or third lowest millage rate, property tax millage rate in the state of Georgia. Number two, our fund balance, despite increases in expenses, and thank goodness increase in revenues, our fund balance has been able to increase steadily over time. Although that doesn't necessarily mean we would have any pickleball court money, but we'll discuss that later. Whoa! I thought that would get somebody's attention. So a couple other things I'm going to bring up before we get to that. In 2010, when the alcohol referendum was passed, I made the commitment to set aside $50,000 each year for alcohol license fees and tax receipts to put back in the community to help with the problem of alcohol and drug addiction. That had already existed in Union County, and of course there's as good as the county is, there's always problems with that. We fund each year the Anti-Drug Coalition program, and we then distribute these other funds in the form of grants that interested organizations must apply for. We have a completely independent committee set up to review the applications and award these grants that we're going to present tonight. The committee has done an excellent job, and I commend them highly for the time they spent selecting recipients, but they wish to remain anonymous. I personally had no input into which organizations received grants or how much they received. We had 5 organizations apply for grants that are dealing with alcohol, drug abuse, and problems, and all 5 were awarded some amount of funding. Tonight we have representatives from the organizations here with us. We would like to recognize them and present them with their checks. In this time of such a tremendous problem nationwide with the opioid addiction issue, it is very nice to know that we have these groups and these people volunteering their time and these nonprofits spending their time and effort to assist locally with the drug addiction problem. So I am hereby awarding substance abuse grants to the following local organizations. If y'all please come up as I call your name. And if you want to give a brief description, most of these people standing up, they're fine. They don't mind standing up. They're not in a big hurry. No, a brief description of what your group does. And hang on just a minute. The first one will be Freedom Ministries of North Georgia. Harley Rakestraw or whoever wants to come up, and Joe's going to come up and say a few words.
How are you folks this evening? Thank you. I'm with Freedom Ministries. We've been doing our program about 9 years now in the county, and we are a Christ-centered drug and alcohol program. And our program is morphed, it's grown, it's shrank, and a few years back we became real involved with drug court. I don't know how many of you are aware of drug court. It's been a tremendous help to this county, and we work real close with drug court, providing outside classes that's required for their program. We've been having a lot of success with the program, and we're really grateful to Lamar and the county, because this grant is probably 95 to 98% of what keeps this program available and able to keep functioning. So we're just real grateful. Thank you.
Joe's one of those guys that has he's practiced what he's preaching, and he's been through the times when things weren't so good, and he's worked his way through it and become an outstanding citizen of the county. And we appreciate you, both you guys, and the work your group does. Thank you. Amen. The next one is our HOUR ministry, and Roger Lambert. Will you come up, Roger?
Hi, my name is Roger Lampert. I moderate a SMART recovery meeting. SMART is a science-based recovery program. It stands for self-management and recovery training. We have offices over at, actually next to New Hope and in between New Hope and Avita. I don't have much to say except that I'm very grateful to the citizens of this county for giving us this opportunity. I'm also very grateful to the Commissioner and of course his staff and the substance abuse grant people who found merit in my request. So I think I'll just leave it at that. And I wanted to say thank you. And this does work. We do good stuff, and sometimes we get discouraged, but we still continue on. And just thank you.
Next is New Hope Counseling, Troy Beavers.
I'd like to thank Lamar for this money. It's going to help a lot. New Hope Counseling is a certified agency. I'd like to talk maybe just a little about addiction. Addiction basically is broken down into 3 categories: prevention, treatment, and recovery. Prevention obviously is the most important, because if we could prevent addiction, then we wouldn't need any of these treatment facilities. But unfortunately, our society seems to lean more towards treatment and recovery than prevention. It's like the ambulance is not at the top of the cliff waiting for the people to fall off and protecting them from it. They're waiting until they fall off and then picking them up. and that's unfortunate. And hopefully some of this money will go to someone that's interested in prevention. The other, what New Hope does is we deal with treatment and with recovery. We've been in existence since 2005, and we started with the grant. We're different than the other grant recipients, and when I say different, I don't mean better. Because the true heroes in the treatment or addiction are the other grant recipients. These are the guys that work hard all day, they come home at night, take a shower, and go out and help people. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and have an individual sitting there at the table with a bottle or a needle in one hand and a telephone in the other hand, if he calls New Hope Counseling, he's going to get a voicemail. But if he calls Robert, or if he calls Roger, or if he calls any of these others, they're going to answer their phone. And not only are they going to talk with the person, they may go give them a ride and take them to the Waffle House and have a cup of coffee with them. So I don't mean to take anything away from them. In fact, they are the heart and soul of people in especially the recovery arena. But New Hope, we're a different piece of the pie. We are a state certified credential program. We are approved by the Department of Behavioral Health, the DDS, the Division of Driver Services, the DUI intervention, and the Commission on Domestic Violence. We can't hold our meetings in the church Sunday school room. We have a required space that we have to meet. We have to have an adequate space for our clients. We have to have fire inspections. We have to be approved for all handicap disabilities. We have to have handicap parking. No round doorknobs. All our doorknobs have levers. We have to open our facility, we have to have a $10,000 surety bond, and we have to have a $1 million liability malpractice policy. We have to have computers when we do our evaluations, they're now done mostly electronically, and probably by the end of the year, our evaluation, everything will be electronic. So we have to maintain our computers, we have to purchase these programs, we have to purchase the literature, so there's a lot of expense there. And so we do have that space. Thanks to Lamar, he has helped us get that space, especially when we originally started with the grant. But then we have to staff the program, and our staff have to be credentialed. We have to have counselors, we have to have an instructor for our DUI school, we have to have a clinical evaluator. An example is your clinical evaluator has to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree, preferably a master's degree, 4,000 hours of face-to-face contact in an approved location, 150 hours of clinical supervision by a licensed clinical supervisor, and we have that. We have all that in place. And so we open our doors. We have New Hope Counseling. We have all our little improvements. We have our credentials on the wall. We got the floor buffed, which we probably buffed ourselves. And here comes our client in. This is a typical client. They come in. I just got out of prison. Been in prison for 4 years. Don't have any money, but I'm trying to get my license back. And I'm wanting to be able to get to work, and I'm hoping you can help me. And at that point I say, well, you're going to need $355 to go to the DUI school, and you're going to need $110 for your clinical evaluation. And since you're a multiple offender, you have to complete ASAM Level 1 treatment, which consists of 6 months, 3 hours a week, which is $20 an hour. You're also going to have an interlock for your car, which is a breathalyzer that you blow in your car. And if you got alcohol in your system, your car won't start. That's going to be $80 a month. Then you're going to have to pay all your reinstatement fees, which probably will be around $200 to $500. And at that point, the gentleman looks at me and says, "Yeah, right, buddy. You're going to help me. You're just all about the money. All you want is my money." That's where this money comes in handy. Because I can say to him, "Wait a minute. I'm going to scholarship you that $110 evaluation, and we're going to sit down here and we're going to talk with you, and we're going to complete that requirement for that clinical evaluation, but we're going to set some goals. We're going to set some short-term goals, we're going to set some long-term goals, and we're going to look at you and we're going to really try to help you. And we're going to give you your first month of treatment. We're going to give it to you free. And we're going to get with these other folks. Roger's just right across the hall. And we're going to help you get this going. So this money right here. Because if that gentleman walked out the door in 6 weeks to 6 months, he's going to be drunk or he's going to be high and he's going to be right back in prison. Now you Google the cost of keeping someone in prison compared to that $200 you just invested of your tax dollars. So this money is critical and it helps people. We give a maximum of 200 people and we have a great success record. Last year we received this grant. We had 45 people that took advantage of the grant and 15 of those people are straight today and they've got their license, they're back on their road, and that's a large number of people. Compare it with the drug court. So I want to thank Lamar for this money and really appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's not the most short-winded guy, but it's valuable information anyway. Hope Against Heroin, Joanne Sales.
In the hallway to the courthouse. I guess you might say I'm the new kid on the block, although I started it very late in life. Those of you that have not had to deal with an addict, and that's very few of us in Union County anymore, I hope and pray you never have to. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. They do not want to be on addicts. And I hear this every day. And I saw this on Facebook this morning. I was so mad that my daughter came to comment down from a statement that was made on Facebook saying, get her done on that lawnmower because she's doing a better job than most meth addicts do. And that is what we get most of. These kids have no chance without the help of Roger, Joe, Troy, because they do walk out of prison owing $40,000 in some cases, and they can't get a job. They have nowhere to live. And I have first-hand experience knowing it does not just affect the addict, it affects the whole family. You may not think it, but it affects the whole community. I did not even think about applying for a grant. It was in the paper. I passed over it. I've been in this for a year and a half now. My first experience was with mothers of addicts, mothers of heroin addicts. They were all so torn up with nowhere to go. So we started a weekly meeting with these mothers. And I listened and I listened and I listened. And we all were going through the very same thing. So it started out with the mothers, a couple of us grandmothers that were concerned with these young people in Union County. It went from that to, I'm going to have a rally, and we're going to talk about this. And the community is going to see these kids that have been affected by addiction. Lamar was at that rally. When I started this, everybody left me. I ended up with no help whatsoever until the last 3 weeks before rally. The last 3 weeks, it all came together. People were giving me this, giving me that. I had 2 donations, was all that I got from 2 individuals. That barely paid for an ad in the paper this size. Mm-hmm. They would not write an article on me at all. I tried to get them to write an article because it would be free. But they said mine didn't qualify for an article. I would have to buy an ad. I wanted 2 ads, but because this money was coming out of my pocket, I could only afford one ad. I thought, until a guy walked in my office and he said, "What do you need?" I showed him the ad that went in the paper, and I just put this in, but I'm not going to be able to put it in next week before the rally. He said, "Yes, you are. Here's the money to cover the next $165 for this ad." I did not pay that ad. I didn't want another ad. That $165 could go more toward the rally than this size ad in a paper. When I got it all worked out, it all came together. I went to the printer and I said, "Would you print me maybe 50 programs?" So that wasn't too bad of a cost. I said, "Well, just go ahead and make it 100. It's okay if I have some left over." That night, we had over 200 people in the audience with standing room only. They were all dragging out their chairs. There was nowhere to sit. As I said, standing room only. I had 6 people to speak, telling their program from where they were at their lowest point to where they had come through the program, come through all of it, came out and first-class citizens today. So you can recover. Mm-hmm. It's a long, hard step, and they do have to want it, but they've got to have the help there. If you walked out of prison owing $40,000 and you're 19 or 20 years old with no help, no place to live, without these programs, it's exactly like Troy said, they're going to be back in. And they do not want to be this way. They don't want to be an addict. But it is so much easier to say, "Well, let's get her done. She can she can mow grass better than these meth heads can." I am very, very sorry to say that there are all kinds of people in Union County with that attitude. When they brought me in the article from the paper saying to apply for an ad, I said, "No, I'm not going to apply for for a grant, because I'm an individual. I'm working this on my own. I have no help. I don't stand a chance for a grant." Well, some people won't leave you alone. They kept coming back and said, "Fill this out. It can't hurt. All you do is you don't get one. So what? It took you a while to fill out the paperwork. It's all you've lost." Did my research. I told the people why I wanted why I wanted a grant. But I didn't qualify for the grants. And I don't know why I got a $500 grant. Because there was not anything on that grant I filled out for $500. So I have no idea why I really got $500. But
yeah, we're going to go. Let me give it to you. So
this is something that Union County needs to know. We have a problem, and anybody having a walk, I'm not rushing. There is a walk. All these people, I hope, we will have a big walk, and I hope every one of the organizations will help me in getting these people to walk, because I didn't have that help the last time I had the rally, and I'm praying that you'll help me this time.
Family Connection, Union County Family Connection, Ms. Jones.
Katie Jones. I am the coordinator for Union County Family Connection, and Family Connection has been present in Union County for almost 20 years. Family Connection is in every county in Georgia that it looks different. Luckily, the state has allowed us some flexibility with how we do programs and services from county to county, and we're able to choose what we need for our county, not what the state tells us we need. So we do receive some funding from the state, but of course you know that funding is not going to cover every need that we have. We are very fortunate that the school system is our fiscal agent, and they have given us space there to work with our clients who are the students in school. and we have office space there. We're able to go to the classrooms, we're able to talk with the kids when we need to, and we do several different programs, but we have the overall goals that we will help students graduate on time. And we all know that one of the risk factors for them being able to graduate on time is if they are on drugs or alcohol. We want them to come to school. We want them to come to school prepared to learn, and we want to make sure that they are that the risk is reduced for them to use alcohol and drugs. So that is what this money will be used for, is our programs to reduce that risk for them to do that, so that they can put that away and they can come to school and be ready to learn and graduate on time. We appreciate this, and we really thank you for your support.
Thank all of y'all very much. Great stories, and even though it's a little long in the wind tonight, it's all very important, and very important, especially a very important part to the county. I'm going to ask Ms. Betty Turner to come up. We'll try to do this pretty quickly. We usually try to put a 3-minute limit, but Troy blew that, so we're... Betty Turner is asked to be on the agenda to discuss a gun noise ordinance. We very seldom have anyone ask for a personal opportunity to come and speak, but sometimes they're unable to get their problem solved, and so if that's the case, we allow them to come and talk to you and tell us what all we're doing wrong.
You're gonna roll your eyes when you. No, thank you. Again, my name is Betty Turner. I'm proud to say I'm a resident of Union County, and I thought everybody was here for me. I'm disappointed. Wow. If I'd known there were going to be this many people, I would reschedule tomorrow. Trust me. Anyway, the gun ordinance, or we don't have an ordinance. That's the problem. We don't have a nuisance ordinance. We don't have a noise ordinance. All right, I have a neighbor. I live in a subdivision of 10 people. They live on 1 acre, 2 acres. My closest neighbor is maybe 600 feet away from where their shooting range is, has set up a target range and shoots for over 2 hours at a time. I have a nervous condition. We have some elderly people who live out there. We don't appreciate it at all. It's not right. I don't mind you. I'm not against guns. I want to tell everybody right now, everybody I want at least 6, okay? So, and I have my own. So, but the thing is, I think it's time that we get an ordinance. Lamar, I'm holding you to this now. I'll work with you on it, and I'll do whatever it takes, but we're going to have to do something, because people are wasting too much of your good time calling you and complaining. We've had the sheriff out there 4 times, and all they do, that's taxpayers' money. They're coming out and they're telling us we can't do anything. So don't call the sheriff and somebody shoots them. They're just going to say we can't do anything. Well, to me, they could go up and at least talk to the people that are shooting and try to calm them down and say, but we have a neighbor that I tried to call that particular day because it's getting on my nerves, and then he brought out the big guns. Now, I'll tell you, it was getting pretty bad. I see I've got some of my neighbors here that can witness it too. They're here to support me tonight. And so I decided I'd call over there and say, nicely, these are people we've known for 20 years. They have been our friends. We've gone out to dinner with them. My husband's ridden motorcycles with them. He's on disability now, so I guess all he has to do is shoot. But I called and I got his voicemail, and I was expecting him to call me back and tell me, I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't mind him going to shoot 10 times. He used to call me and tell me when he was going to shoot, but not anymore. So I wrote this letter, and I thought it was a pretty nice letter, just asking. I said, people where we live, we'd rather you didn't do that. It's making this lady on the hill very nervous, and this place over here. So they wrote me back, and it was a very nasty letter. But what they did wrong, they quoted a Georgia law which says that I'm a stalker, and I don't stalk anybody. And my husband Do I look like a stalker?
Well,
Anyway, I might stop you, Lamar.
I know what you're talking about.
Look out, buddy, I'm out, you know.
Oh.
So anyway, it's just, Union County is growing by leaps and bounds. Lamar has done a wonderful job. He wrote 2 articles in the paper about this very thing, and I appreciate that, Lamar. And you talked about people being considerate, but they're not. I'm sorry to tell you. And I'm mad. I'm really mad about it. So I think we're in the 21st century. We're growing, and I think there's going to have to be some rules. And you talk about nuisance. Okay. Nuisance. An airplane's flying over my head every day at the same time. Call Lamar. What can you do about it? There's a nuisance. That's not a nuisance. That's not a nuisance. So you're going to have to be specific about what it entails. But this is to protect everybody here. You know, you don't want people, do you? Do you want people shooting 20 times in your backyard? If my dog is traumatized, we have to carry him out the yard now. It's just, anyway. And you've got a very nice Jennifer Queen. Oh, another thing. I thought it was so smart. I found this, and there is a Georgia law. We may not have one, but there is a Georgia law that addresses this, okay? So we're covered with that, right? Don't say it.
I hope. I hope.
We'll go over that, okay? Anyway, okay. But I went up to see Lamar, and he wasn't there, so I spoke with his very nice secretary, Jennifer. Love you, Jennifer. And I found this ordinance, and it said Union County ordinance for firing and not shooting within such a distance. She says, that's South Carolina's ordinance. But do you know that nowhere in that ordinance does it say South Carolina?
No, it was North Carolina.
Well, North Carolina, South Carolina. Nowhere in that ordinance does it say.
It doesn't. Somebody just must have scanned it.
So why can't we just adopt it?
Why not?
We're going to hold you to it, Lamar. Now you know me.
I know.
So just get ready, and whatever I can do to help you get it done before we have a killing out where we live.
She knows how to hit a guy where it hurts.
I do.
And I'll tell you what we've done. I really haven't heard back from her in just a little while, so I probably, in the interest of time, I probably felt like maybe her problem had kind of eased off a little bit just because I hadn't heard from her in a couple of months. That was a mistake, obviously. But I do want to say how we will at least go about handling this. I don't normally discuss policy in the meeting, but since we have such a large crowd, probably thought it might be better to do that than to not be able to get out of here. But if you have read my questions and answers the last 2-3 weeks in the paper, I've really discussed 2 of the hardest issues we have, which is noise and trash. How to deal with them without just overburdening the county with regulations. What we do at the point that she is at is we will now go speak to the person, in person and serious. I have not done that, neither has my staff. The deputies have been over there, but we are going to, I don't want to give him a head start notice, but we are going to make a serious visit to his residence, and we've done this on other occasions. What we go to them and say is, hey guys, treat it like it's your neighbor, like you want to be treated. You know, there are a lot of places in National Forest. We don't have a lot of places, public shooting ranges around here, but there's places you can go out and find a place to shoot if that's what you really feel like you have to do. But doing it in a neighborhood, a confined neighborhood,
That's wrong.
is not the place to do it. Unless he would be willing to call up and say, hey, Sunday, I got a bunch of guys coming over about 4 o'clock. we plan on shooting about an hour, if you'd let it, if that'd be okay with you. At one time that might have worked, but I think it's a little bit late now. But I did, another thing I did is took the Union County ordinance, Union County, North Carolina ordinance, and I've contacted those people to see what kind of problems they've got, and they're having their county attorney get back with me, because a noise ordinance is the hardest thing in the world to enforce. And it is so subjective, and it gets you in so many problems. So we have never run across somebody in the county that has not been willing to work with us. And what we tell them is, you can either work with us, or we're going to pass an ordinance, and then you're not going to be able to do it anymore, anywhere, anytime. So that's kind of the way we're going to operate on this, and hopefully it will work, and the gentleman will understand that there are other issues, and one of y'all or half a dozen of y'all may be in her house, and it might not bother you a bit to hear that. But the very fact that she does have the nervous issue, and she does want to come and talk to me a lot, just to see me, and she has to make up these reasons why she has to come see me. So anyway, we're gonna work on it. So all right. Thank you for coming, and thank you to the neighborhood for coming. Okay, now, speaking of speakers and people that like to come see me sometimes, but anyway, I want to ask Marion Snyder if she would come up, and I have a note on here advising we have a 3-minute limit.
It won't take me but 3 minutes.
So I'm not going to try that. I'd like to introduce Marion, captain of the pickleball club here in Union County, and she's going to give us some information on pickleball. And I appreciate all of you guys. How many of y'all are pickleballers in here?
Proud pickleballers.
So
They aren't.
I'm going to try.
Thank you. Do you have any more checks to pass out?
I thought maybe y'all was running check.
Well, we might do that. My name is Marion Snyder, and I'm very proud to represent the entire Blairsville Pickleball Club here tonight. And we came here tonight with Commissioner Parrish to show our gratitude and our appreciation to the county and the staff for what all we are blessed with as far as facilities that we have to play pickleball with. I'd also like a very special thanks to Jennifer, whom I know when I walk in, she rolls her eyes. There's that pickleball lady again. But anyway, thank you for all your help and your patience. Also, Larry Conley was Director of Parks and Rec here in Union County, who has given us endless time in his ear anytime we needed it. I don't think he's here tonight, but please pass that on, that we're very gracious to him. Also, Stan Wallace of the First United Methodist Church, the Union County School Board, and charter members, and many other members of the Pickleball Club who have helped make this club solvent and thriving. Just quickly, a little, two and a half more minutes. Just quickly, the club started in just September 2015. Started with a lady, it's a member now, Pam Moran. She called David Block, who was then an ambassador of pickleball in Hiawassee. It was very simple for Pam. She just said, David, why don't we start a pickleball club in Blairsville? So with that kickoff and the help of Larry Conley, we started off with some chalk, some portable nets, 2 tennis courts at Meeks Park where we were allowed to play 2 mornings a week. David Block is indeed a legend of pickleball in this area. I recently spoke with David. He's now living in Athens, Georgia. And he told me the story. He said, and this is in his words, quote, at first it was the women who made the club. They kept coming out and really, really kept us together. They kept it all in perspective so none of us men could get too crazy. Very soon we had 30 members and became a family, and what I hope very much will always be, unquote. In just the first year, the club went from those 2 people to around 35 members. And today, we're 184. With the 184, the board member, with their guidance, the board of the pickleball club decided to cap the membership at 200 because of the facilities and taking that much stress from this amount of players. So we're at 184, so probably by the next week we'll be on the cap. With the community involvement growing, we had the first United Methodist Church that started off classes in their Oasis program. They actually have graduated today to around 130 pickleball players. We now have use of 6 outdoor courts with permanent striping at Meeks. We have partial and limited use of the Rubber 4 gym and 3 courts indoors. And also we have partial use of the First United Methodist Church with 3 indoor courts. The Pickleball Club here in Blairsville is the first organized recreational nonprofit club in the entire northeast region of Georgia. That's something to be very proud of. The club has held various tournaments and has donated several $1,000s to the charities here. With our vision and a new permanent dedicated pickleball facility, we could possibly direct proceeds from our local tournaments to the Parks Department to assist in maintenance and upkeep of a permanent facility. Is that subtle enough? Last year when we were here to show our appreciation, we asked Commissioner Parrish to come out and play some pickleball with us. Well, sure enough, he showed up. He spent some time out at the gym with us playing pickleball. Commissioner Parrish, respectfully, it was the general consensus that perhaps you needed some more training. So we would like to ask you to come again and come out and play with us. So in closing, if I can just take 1 minute, some very important people are here to take this opportunity for all of us to recognize. And I'm going to call out, if you would stand, any of the charter members, anyone that served on the board, past and present, please stand. Anyone who, my gosh, come on. Anyone who's been taught in the Oasis program, please stand. Our historian and our recorder, we indeed thank you all for your labor of love. And the pickleball club should be excused after he answers questions. I'm sure he won't.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate y'all being kind to me when you came last year and again this time. Maybe you think, well, I should have been tougher, but anytime we've got a need in this county for anything, especially recreation, we do everything we can to try to work it out. And I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but we had hoped to be able to build a gym and a facility at one location, and had that happen, maybe we could have started on it this year, but probably not, just because of the flow of the SPLOST funds. But we're really hoping this next year, because now we have bought a piece of property. We haven't had the final plans drawn on it. We haven't even had all the rough plans drawn on it yet. But we really, whenever we build a gym and another facility, it's going to have a pickleball facility built with it. The reason we let's be sure we haven't got a commitment on time here. I've got pressure. Yeah, I've got pressure on these other things that we got to do too. So this is just another one of those that we. But if we're going to do one, because we have to do a parking lot for whatever we do. I mean, if you're going to have pickleball courts and you want to have some tournaments, and you got to have a parking lot that'll hold it. And if we're going to be building a new gymnasium, there's no use having a parking lot for it, another parking lot for pickleball, and another parking lot for the ball fields, youth ball fields. So we're trying to combine all that together to make it something doable, and I won't promise it's next year, but our goal is to try to be ready with plans and everything to go next year, maybe next year, but absolutely the year after that. And if I didn't do it then, it would be election time the year after that. I'd really be in trouble. So you're pretty lucky on the second year out. But no, I realize it's a need, and we're going to work on it as soon as we can. And I thank Larry Conley and the Recreation Department for all they've done to work with y'all. And I know sometimes it's a challenge to work. Tennis and pickleball don't always mesh on the same court as good as we'd like to sometimes, but I think we're working our way through it and getting it done. So thank you all for coming. I'm not ready to let go yet though, because if y'all brought this many to intimidate me, you gotta listen to these next 3 pages. Y'all will cause too much disruption by getting up and leaving.
Well, I better sit down then.
Yeah, you better sit back down. Item number 5 is an agreement. I hereby accept this agreement between United Community Banks and Union County for automated clearinghouse (ACH) transfers at a monthly fee of $50. This is for a new automated payroll processing system the county is in the process of implementing. Item 6, I hereby accept this agreement between the Georgia Department of Corrections and Union County for 6 work details for the period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. The cost of this detail is $39,500 per crew for a total of $237,000. While this may seem like a lot of money, and it is, as most of you know, these work details are invaluable in Union County for the work and the impact they do in assisting us to keep one of the lowest tax millage rates in the state of Georgia. We furnish a van and gas and tools for the detail, and the Carlton-Caldwell Detention Center furnishes the work crews and the dedicated detention officers who see to it that the crews carry out their assigned tasks. The road department has 1 crew, the golf course has 1 crew, Meeks Park has 1 crew, the litter pickup has 1 crew, building and facility maintenance has 1 crew, and then there is a construction crew that floats through all the ones where they have the main guys who do the carpentry work. Even the detainees get involved with their projects and do an exceptional job. A special thanks to Ms. Diane Hatchett, who is the warden for the Carlton-Caldwell Detention Center, and I don't know how we can make it over here and do all that we do and make it look as good. Go into Meeks Park, it never looks bad, and although we got crew there that work too, but these guys help us all over the county, and we couldn't make it without them. Item 7 is a lease agreement. I hereby accept this lease agreement between the 9th District Opportunity and Union County for the use of office space located at 185 Wellborn Street, Suite 8, in the Pat Harrelson Memorial Civic Center, an amount of $230 per month. The duration of this lease will be October through September of 2018. This is a federal state agency that not only handles our own food bank, local food bank, but provides rent and utility crisis assistance, emergency food assistance, family development counseling, and income management, educational referring services, and transportation assistance to the indigent. Medication assistance and food stamp applications. Item number 8, I hereby accept this contract for propane services between Union County and Freeman Gas for .9949, which is 94.9 cents per gallon from September the 1st of 2017 through August 31st of 2018. This was a negotiated price between bid periods. We usually have a new bid about every 3 years, and so in between that time, they're negotiated by our purchasing department. Item 9 is Resolution R 2017-12. I hereby approve a resolution for setting up the Stepping Up initiative. The purpose is to reduce the number of people with mental illness that would otherwise just end up in our jails. As most of us know, we are facing an overcrowding situation in our jail on a regular basis. We're taking many steps to work on this problem, with this being just one of the important ones. This is just another piece of the puzzle that we hope will provide more mental health treatment for those incarcerated so that they can become productive citizens. I want to thank Linda Beavers. I'm not going to let you talk tonight. I'm sorry, because I got so much to do. Unless you want to do it during the question and answer.
I'll come to your office.
Okay. Yeah. She comes to my office on a regular basis and fills me in with everything. But thanks to her for bringing this program to the county and the importance of it. And she is a tireless worker who donates her time and effort to help so many different causes. Item number 10. I hereby approve this resolution R 2017-13 to accept a boat ramp operation and maintenance agreement between the Department of Natural Resources and Union County for the Canal Lake boat ramp. The term of this agreement is 25 years. DNR will help maintain the boat ramp for the use of the public in the future. They may also be doing some upgrades in the ramp and the surrounding area. The McAfee family donated the property to the county back in the 60s. DNR now is working with us to upgrade the ramp with a floating dock attachment, making it much easier to get in your boats and more handicap accessible. We hope DNR will have this upgrade ready by the next boating season, and want to especially thank DNR for being willing to work with us. Item 11 is the ordinance first reading. First reading of the revised alcohol ordinance, and it's about this thick, so don't worry. I don't have to read it all. We do not actually read the ordinance, but it is a ceremonial requirement that we call it a first reading and a second reading. However, we have the ordinance revisions available for you tonight if you would like to request a copy, and if you don't have anything else you want to do after this meeting, but read. Basically, the state of Georgia changes their ordinances on a fairly regular basis, which necessitates ours to be changed and improvements made when necessary. We have a very active alcohol board that handles this process constantly inspects all facilities in the county with a license and handles all problems immediately. The only time I hear from them is when they want to make improvements to the system, and I want to thank all of them and their attorney for all the hard hours they're putting in doing this job. And I am very pleased that we were talking about earlier about some funding for these groups, drug groups, and that money mostly comes from the tax money generated from the alcohol sales. There are still people that don't agree with that, and I honor that opinion, but we have been very strict with our regulations. We've had a very nominal problem in the county with those regulations and we appreciate all the people who have those licenses and do a good job of moderating and following the laws. And there will be a public hearing on the alcohol ordinance. Do we have a date yet? Okay. And then there'll be a second reading after that. So there'll be opportunity for the public to make comments. This is just where we introduce it. That's going to be taking place. Item 12 is a business license. I hereby approve the business license to BRMI Properties, LLC, located at 258 Chapman Road. This is the only type business issued a license in Union County for the purpose of collecting hotel-motel tax on short-term cabin rentals. We're already through everything, and we're getting nearer the end. I'm just having a few comments that I want to make. I usually have a lot of different things I talk about, but tonight it's just going to be one. It's that E word, the eclipse. So with such a long meeting, I wanted to hold my comments down, but the eclipse is about all that is on everyone's mind, other than pickleball, of course. We just had an agency meeting at the Emergency Operations Center at the Fire Department this morning. And to cover all the last minute issues that we're going to be dealing with, we do not know how many people will be in Union County. Nobody does. We anticipate a lot. We feel that while it may be slightly more busy than usual Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're not overly concerned about those days, but really Monday is the day that we're the most concerned about. Our agency meeting included, just want you to listen who all was there today talking about and discussing. It included TVA, who will have a boat available at the dam and will have a helicopter available. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources, which will also have a helicopter and a boat. The U.S. Coast Guard will have a boat in Lake Nolly, believe it or not. The school will be out, but they will have security people on their grounds because one of the events the chamber is having is a parking area up at the Fine Arts Auditorium. So up on top of that ridge will be a beautiful viewing spot, so they're going to have that open. The school will be out, but we'll have the security people there working. The police department, the sheriff's department will be all hands on deck, as will the county recreation and the road department. Department of Natural Resources and U.S. Forest Service will have extra staff brought in from other areas along with a helicopter. The Georgia State Patrol will have a helicopter at the Blairsville Airport. Union County will have volunteer stations open, volunteer fire stations open at Ivy Log, Suches, Jones Creek, and Choistoy, and they will all have staff there and be open for emergencies. City of Blairsville, Union County EMS, which is ambulance service at Union General, the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC, Red Cross was there, Board of Education was represented, the E91 dispatch staff, the Georgia Forestry, Union General Hospital, Caldwell Detention Center, Vogel State Park, DNR Law Enforcement, Fannin County Fire and EMA, Towns County Fire and EMA, it's Emergency Management Agency, U.S. Forest Service Law Enforcement, Chamber of Commerce, Ham Radio Club, it will be available in case we have communication issues, Georgia Department of Transportation, and we don't know who else we can involve and what else we can do. We'll be as prepared as you can be. If we were to get an onslaught of people coming up on Monday, you know, we'll deal with them the best we can. I guess I shouldn't just give my opinion because I don't want to be wrong, and we'll know that by Sunday. But I hope a lot of times these things we have, people worry about them too much and do too much to prepare, and then scare the public away so that nobody comes out and enjoys the day and enjoys the event. So I don't want that to happen. I want you to realize that, you know, there will be, all the restaurants will be open. There will be the industrial park, which is out. I hope most of you know where the industrial park is, out on 515. Meeks Park will be open to the public, as will the industrial park. They got a huge site out there of 16 acres. If we get a lot of people coming up the highway and need a place to go look. And as I said, the facility at the Fine Arts Auditorium on the hill up there, I think the whereas it's not open, it's not going to be an active site. The North Georgia Technical College parking area will be there and be available. I guess at the golf course, View Grill, they're having an event. And there's a lot of other people, if you see in the paper, that are having events. The major concern is the public safety related to accidents and being able to reach people and get them out to the hospital if there is an accident or a wreck or a problem. So again, we don't want everybody scared to death. We think we've covered pretty much everything. I've had people concerned about goggles, the glasses, you know, and what works and what doesn't work and what's got a certification on it and what doesn't have a certification. And I'm not an expert in that, but I just did a little home test, and I took one pair of glasses I got from the chamber that doesn't have a certification number. I took another pair that does, and I took a pair that we bought online that has they're actually plastic rim, regular looking glasses, sunglasses. And took them all and looked directly into the sun, which is not a pleasant thing to do. but took them all and looked directly into the sun, and there was not any difference in any one of the three. So to me, that certainly is not scientific, and there could be some kind of gamma ray that slips through one that doesn't another, I don't know. But I can tell you this, you're not going to sit there for an hour before and an hour after and stare at the dang sun. I hope you've got more to do than that. You want the glasses so that you can glance up every time, and yeah, you want to see it as it moves across it, but who wants to just stand there for an hour and do this? If you do, I don't care what kind of glasses you got, your eyes are going to get damaged or get tired. Because just in looking at the sun yesterday afternoon for just about 5 minutes, I had a headache from that. So anyway, be careful, use common sense, have fun. We had a weather briefing today. We think the weather is going to be much better than it's been in the past. In the original forecast was. We think it's going to be a week kind of like this week where they call for showers every day, but there's, we haven't had any all week. Now, we may have more next week. But remember, wherever you are, no matter what county you're in, it's going to get dark whether there's clouds up there or not. So you can at least enjoy the fact that it's going to get dark in the middle of the day and you're going to feel the temperature drop. And it's going to be a good event and a fun thing, I think, for everybody. I think a lot of people that I know are having family coming up that wouldn't normally come. So that may be good and that may be bad. At least you'll get to see a lot of people you don't normally get to see. So we're looking for a good event and a good, safe event, and just hope for the best. The meeting is adjourned, and I do open it up for questions. If anybody's got any questions, we hadn't made it an hour and a half yet. So anybody have any questions? We're glad to take them this time. Just hold your hand up, and I'll call you out. Or if you're bored and ready to go home, that won't break my heart either.